Welcome back to New Rockstars. X-Men 97 has established a new origin story for Cable, or at least just kind of clarified it, because now we are in the blind for the rest of the season. We were able to see the first 3 episodes at the beginning of all this. Now we have no idea where it's going to go. All we have are these episode titles and the crazy arcs that all these characters are on. And there's no way for me to see this finale without bloodshed. I think we are headed toward a very, very violent finale arc that might even show us the destruction of Genosha by Deadpool 3 villain Cassandra Nova. What is Magneto's plan? When is Cable coming back? And how will it end? This is a sneak peek, the show where the hosts of New Rockstars look ahead to the next week in nerdy fandom. I'm Erik Voss. Here with me is co-host and senior producer Jessica Clemons. Jessica, how are you feeling about this?
Hello. Did you see me turn in the chair because I'm a news anchor? I'm very excited for this. That would be actually pretty fun if they blew it up. I hope they don't because it looks like they're working really hard towards Genosha. But I would like that crossover because I assumed there wasn't going to be too much of a crossover with X-Men 97.
No, I think they're clearly in their own realm. They can do whatever they want to do, but the way they're approaching X-Men 97 is they are leaving nothing on the table. Every episode so far has just gone so hard. And I feel like that's going to be what this show does. And so, when I interviewed Jay Castorena, the senior producer of this series, I think he's like the top director of it. I asked him specifically about Cassandra Nova and Krakoa. And I'm like, these are like big things that happen in X-Men comics after X-Men 97 or after the 92 to 97 X-Men run in the 90s ended. How much from the comics after that are they going to be pulling? And roll the clip.
What made the OG show so great, Erik and Julia Leewald and Larry Houston and all the team on that, having love and appreciation for the IP, they went to the source material. As true as that is in the DNA of the OG show, us being a spiritual successor and a revival, so too we should do that. When in doubt, go to the books.
See, he could have shut me down in that moment. But no, he's giving me a wink in that moment. I think either Krakoa or Cassandra Nova are showing up, and I think like that 2001 to 2002 Grant Morrison arc, Cassandra Nova just goes crazy and kills 16 million mutants on Genosha. I think we're going to see it in this final episode arc of Tolerance's Extinction. I think that's the 3-episode arc that we're gearing up toward.
Ooh, I would love that. I'm here for it.
Should we go through the remaining episodes of this season? Just kind of talk about what we think will happen in each episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so this coming week, April 3rd, will be episode 4, Motendo / Life Death Part 1. So we know Life Death is the storyline with Forge and with Storm. And we saw Forge at the end of episode 3, young, and then they're going to be on his Texas compound. And we're going to get some interesting romantic stuff going on. But in the meantime, it seems like we're going to get an A storyline with a Mojo Nintendo.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like you saw Spiral show up, morphed into Spiral, which is just so interesting because that's just such a deep cut from just the Mojo episodes of the 90s run. So I feel like Spiral could show up. I feel like Longshot could show up, and Mojo's going to show up.
I think that'd be really fun. And then maybe they'll address how Morph is like changing into half the people that we haven't seen so far. Or at least I haven't seen.
Like, Morph, who have you been hanging out with?
What are you watching?
Like, everyone!
Everybody! And that'll be the joke too. That will be the gag, is that Morph is just friends with everybody outside of X-Men's house, or like the X-Men. They're just like, yeah, I'm friends with everybody.
And since it's 1997, are we going to see like a Nintendo 64 era, or will it be Super Nintendo, do you think? It won't be GameCube or Wii. It's got to be like
it's
N64.
97, so it's 64, right?
I feel like that was the big console game of that year, but still more people probably had Super Nintendos or original Nintendos.
But it's 97.
I guess that was a game changer in the late 90s.
I think it'll be a 64, and they're going to be blowing into that cartridge and then putting it into the 64, and then we're in a game world.
But what's hard is like 64 now puts us into like 3D worlds, like, whereas Super Nintendo, you still have like the Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island, and it's still kind of 2D and get away with it that way.
I guess it depends on which games you're playing, because if you're playing Donkey Kong Country, yeah, you're gonna be playing that weird 3D that's gross. But if you're playing like maybe Zelda, it might be a little. It's still, it depends. I think if they did do a 64 thing, they would have to go off of Mario 64. or whatever the hell
Yeah.
that one was, just because it's like everyone knows it.
So April 10th, the week after that will be episode 5, Remember It. And going into this season, I figured this is going to be a Gambit episode. And you know what? It still might be. But now I feel like this is got to be where Cable comes back. Because the way Madeline Pryor gave him that message, and the last word she said that echoed through that episode was remember. And I feel like that's Cable's coming back this episode.
Insane. And then you think Cable will be a part of the crew for the rest of the season?
Yeah, because you know the voice actor for Cable is coming back. I feel like time travel is going to be a bigger part of this season than it seemed from the outset. Just because Bishop was there and they never explained how Bishop got there.
Yes. Do you think Bishop? So Bishop's just gone. Bishop left with Cable, and then Cable's gonna come back by himself?
I think both of them are going to come back. I think we're going to see future version of Forge. I think we're going to have a crazy time travel plot in the middle of this season, and these episode titles are concealing it.
What if we're just in the universe where Cable is? I mean, I want Cable to come join our universe so he's in the rest of the episodes, but what if that episode is just looking at Cable's universe now, and Cable's grown up in, you know, Cable, half whatever the hell he is, and then Bishop's there, and we're just looking at their universe? Because it could be him remembering and dealing with all of that in his own universe, and then at the end, he comes to ours. I'm just thinking. I
like that. No, I like that a lot. I feel like Remember It is going to be a two-parter. Remember It's going to apply to Gambit, and then the B plot will be a Cable plot.
Madeline Pryor coming back in the middle?
I don't know if Madeline Pryor will come back.
Yeah.
Like, I hope she does, because I thought she was so... But, I mean, they just gave one of these episodes to Madeline Pryor, and I feel like we got as much out of Madeline Pryor as we need, maybe, in this season.
I agree. Out of this season, I definitely say return, but I think this season's good. Cable's gonna, it's unfortunate. It's in the X-Men universe. It's just what they do. Some children have to be left alone, or not left alone, but like, you know, their parents have to die or go away and abandon their child. And that's just unfortunately what's going to happen with Cable. Cable can't come back to our universe and immediately see his mom. Can't see Madeline Pryor. Yeah, Madeline Pryor has to be gone for a minute.
After that, April 17th will be episode 6, Life Death Part 2. So Life Death is a big enough arc, according to these writers, that they're going to give it to 2 episodes. But I think this is just a titled episode, and there's going to be a B plot that deals with a lot of this other stuff. So I think Life Death Part 2, I think Life Death, they're using the comic title, but I think it's masking the fact that there is a time travel plot in the middle of the season.
Okay. You said the comic?
Yeah, the comic, there's a comic storyline of Life Death that they're definitely going to be adapting, but I think it's going to be we're going to see Forge in the present storyline and then Forge in the future storyline, and Forge is going to be our link from the time travel element to the Storm side of the episode. That's my prediction for what Life Death means.
Okay. I mean, I don't mind making Forge that big of a deal. I love Forge. That's interesting. Okay. Is the Life Death going to be with Forge, or is it going to be with Storm? I don't like the title being Life Death.
That is in the comic storyline, it's Forge and Storm together. So yeah, I think it's going to apply more to, honestly, to Cable. I think there's going to be some similar themes that are going on, but I think it's obviously going to apply to Storm's situation, but then also apply to Cable.
Okay.
But after that, episode 7 on April 24th will be Bright Eyes, which kind of feels like it's going to be a Rogue thing. But I think this is going to be the Rogue Magneto storyline.
That makes sense. I thought immediately Cyclops, because it's
Cyclops, Bright Eyes. It could be a Cyclops. Could be a Cyclops Nathan Summers, because, Nathan Summers, Cable has, the bright eye. It could connect with that as well, but it's just Bright Eyes. It's kind of something that Rogue says. So, again, they have 30 minutes for these episodes, and they fit a lot into them, and we could see multiple storylines happening in a single episode.
So you think Remember It, episode 5, is Gambit's?
I think it's Gambit, but it's also Cable.
Okay, but it's also
Cable. Cable's going to have a lot going on in the background.
Okay, and then we jump back to that triangle weird love story with Gambit, Magneto, and Rogue and Bright Eyes on episode 7.
That's but Wolverine is being left out of this, and I think a lot of people are I could use more Wolverine, but we got so much Wolverine in the movies, and we're gonna get so much Wolverine this year in Deadpool and Wolverine. I think part of the mission of these writers is to remind people that the leader of the X-Men is Cyclops. Cyclops has gotten sidelined so much in the movies. We've gotten a lot of Wolverine. We don't need as much Wolverine, but my hope is that in a 3-episode finale arc on May 1st, 7th, and 15th, episode 8, 9, and 10, Tolerance is Extinction is the name of this arc. I hope we get a lot of Wolverine and a lot of answers about Charles Xavier.
Oh, yes. I hope Charles Xavier first and foremost, but I think we will get more Wolverine because of it. And it's true, Cyclops is the leader, but it's still like Wolverine has inserted himself in that love triangle now, with that last episode being like, being like, that's how you really feel about me? I was like, get away from her. I was like, Logan, get away from her. I was like, I can't, not now. Okay, too much is happening. But no, he definitely is like now inserted in their weird, also another love triangle.
It's interesting. We did hear Tolerance's Extinction spoken by Henry Gyrick in episode 1 in his whole speech to the X-Men, right? That's setting up the final battle. It's going to be like a mutant kind versus humankind, but I kind of wonder if like Cassandra Nova is going to use him and Master Mold from that Grant Morrison storyline from 2001 in part of her bid to basically massacre Genosha. I think that's what Jake was referencing when I'm like, what storylines? That's one of the biggest events, one of the craziest WTF events. And I was thinking, is X-Men 97 going to be violent or crazy enough for like an adult audience? But after these 3 episodes, they got some adult stuff that's happening 100%. On this series. I don't think they're afraid to have that much carnage and death.
But isn't Genosha just going to be home for a lot of the mutants?
Yeah, I think that's what it is right now. That's because they reference Asteroid M. So the Asteroid M, that was Magneto's previous colony out in space. But then like the human military forces of Genosha declared war. And now Magneto, according to the events of the 90s series, has basically taken it over to make it like a mutant nation. And Genosha was going to invade. And that's why like Henry Gyrick basically hit Charles Xavier with that weapon that put Charles in a coma in the Graduation Day episode. So that's the Henry Gyrick that we're dealing with right now. And I could see Cassandra Nova making a case to him, be like, hey, help me, help you. And she uses him to basically activate all these Sentinels to wipe out Genosha. That's what I think is going to happen. How would you pick up in the
second season?
I mean, the way that the 90s shows would work is they would have these big arcs that would happen, and then they would just go for broke, and then the new season just begins with kind of like a new storyline, like a new arc. And I think season 2, you deal with Krakoa, and you pick up with like the 5. Season 2, you could bring the whole, what's it called? The Avengers versus X-Men storyline, where Phoenix inhabits like the Phoenix 5, and then they attack Wakanda. Like there's so much you can do from like because the X-Men comics got really crazy and really good after Perlmutter backed off. And there's a lot that they can do for 2 additional seasons. I mean, we could see House of M in season 2. But this brings me to the question, and this is kind of what we set for our B topic. Is X-Men 97 too good? And by that, I mean, are they adapting all the best X-Men comic storylines that we've been begging the MCU to adapt in live action? Doing a better job than Fox did with things like Age of Apocalypse and the Dark Phoenix saga when they had control over the franchise. And doing such a good job with the fan service that there's no way Kevin Feige's division in live action is going to be able to live up. Like, does this mean we're not going to see a really good Inferno Goblin Queen storyline in live action?
I think it's possible, but it's very challenging now. Actually, the Goblin Queen's a bad example because I'm like, I think you can do it still. It was kind of the entire story of the Goblin Queen could be expanded on if you did a live action more than we'd had in the 30 minutes of her immediately turning into Madeline Pryor. So I'm like, oh, maybe we could do that. But I think X-Men 97 as a whole so far, 3 episodes in, I don't know. Like, it is very good. And we kind of did put ourselves in a corner. But I think that's more reason to expand on it in live action. So it might just has to come from a different kind of point of view. Not point of view, but like a different direction. And it can still succeed in live action if you come from a different direction like that.
Oh, one-shot energy, huh? I think I'll try it. Whoa! So what does one-shot's focus shoe do? So One Shot really is all you need. Begin your transformation with One Shot Energy today by going to oneshotenergy.com/new rockstars for 10% off your order. What's really hard is when you go back and watch the 90s X-Men show, they adapted Days of Future Past. They did Dark Phoenix Saga. They did One Man's Worth. They had all these really, really good storylines, but because they were animated, it kind of like that was the creative fodder that convinced the studios to be like, hey, we can make live action movies of all these. And they were gradually adapting specific subplots. And they had a Days of Future Past movie that was pretty good. They did an Apocalypse movie that was not very good. They had a Deadpool and Cable movie. And but now there's so many good X-Men storylines that have been on the table since 1997 that I think X-Men fans have wanted to see in a true MCU mutant saga. Like, we want to see the attack on Genosha as a movie. And right now, a lot of fans don't necessarily know the name Cassandra Nova. They don't know Genosha. They don't know really what Master Mold is, but that's where the Avengers were in 2007. And because they had a good Iron Man movie, they had a good Phase 1, people started to know what the Avengers were all about. And right now, just because when we think of live action X-Men movies, we think of Hugh Jackman, we think of the Bryan Singer era, and we don't really necessarily know, and by we I mean general moviegoers don't know how crazy these X-Men stories can be and how great they could be as movies. But now, since everyone's watching them on Disney Plus, they're gonna know it, and they're gonna have that standard in their head.
100%. But again, it's like, I think we can expand on it, and that will be but it will be hard because we are going to compare it to the animated. We are going to compare it to this now. It's going to be very hard. Like, once I see Magneto now next, I'm going to be like, this ain't the Magneto I want. I'm going to be like, this is the Magneto I want. I want the animated, bulky ass Magneto.
Based off of episode 1, 2, and 3, I mean, Mr. Sinister, they have given a bigger role. Like, he was there in season 2 a lot, but like, it was supposed to be Apocalypse who gives Nathan Summers the techno-organic virus, and Apocalypse has a much bigger role. But since we already saw Apocalypse as Oscar Isaac, we have not seen a live action Mr. Sinister yet. I feel like they're setting up Mr. Sinister in the movies, and I feel like the only way you can approach an MCU mutant saga, and by that I mean like 5 years from now, on the other side of Secret Wars or something like that, is you need to lead with characters like Storm and Cyclops. Like, they are the leaders of the X-Men on this show, and they're so great to see. That's why I'm like, the casting of Wolverine, the recasting of Wolverine's less essential to me in the MCU, but the casting of Storm is important. The casting of Cyclops is important.
I agree with that. I stand by that. I don't disagree with any of that.
I feel like they can do it right. Maybe they just feel like the Massacre of Genosha is too crazy to put in a movie, or hey, maybe it'll get referenced in Deadpool 3, and that's why they're okay doing it in X-Men 97.
I like refreshing our memory through this, so when it does show up, if it does show up in Deadpool 3, we're like, oh, I know this place. That sucks. I don't think it's too heavy, because not in the same light, but we kind of treated Sokovia like that. So it's kind of like, oh, we can horribly murder a lot of people again. Like, I don't think it's too bad.
Yeah, I mean, it's what we kind of thought was going to happen in Wakanda Forever, but, you know, they stopped Namor's attack, and Queen Ramonda was the ultimate casualty from that. But, like, we all thought, based off of the trailers, that, like, Wakanda was going to be completely flooded and completely destroyed.
I still believe in one of these. It's going to happen, especially right before Battle World. They're going to take a chunk of Wakanda, and it's going to be, it's complete. They have been emphasizing too much, like the Asgardians, that like, oh, it's not the land, it's our people. And I'm like, okay, so what's going to happen when they rip away your land? I'm like, that's good. And I was like, they're going to tear apart Wakanda soon. Don't hold on to it.
Yeah, I think Deadpool 3 is going to reveal a lot of this stuff. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if X-Men 97 ends in a way that, like, gives us information for Deadpool 3. And I'm not just talking about Cassandra Nova, but I think you're right. Everything can exist in the animated X-Men universe. We know Stark Industries exists, VistaCorp, Yashida, the Avengers, Eddie Brock and Peter Parker live there, and that's what's kind of cool about it. And from the X-Men animated run in the 90s, Black Panther existed in that world. Immortus, aka Kang the Conqueror, existed in that world. I believe, like, we know there was obviously a Spider-Man that I just mentioned. There was like a Thor and Avengers who existed. So the fact that everyone can exist in their world, it's kind of like the meta reality that Deadpool exists in, because he's going to come from a place where, like, the Marvel universe exists alongside, like, the X-Men universe.
Yeah.
It's all one for him. I'm super excited for this coming week of Motendo. I feel like people are going to be reacquainted with Mojo and how disgusting and weird he is, and he's going to be a video game.
I'm excited for that episode. That episode's gonna be so fun and dramatic and ridiculous. I'm very excited for it.
X-Men 97, what a show.
So good. Too
So
good.
good.
Too good for its own. Too good.
Too good. Let's look ahead to this week on the new Rockstars network. So, Monday, tomorrow, will be Jessica's breakdown of Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire. Jessica, great job on the whole Monsterverse rewatch that you and
fun.
Noah worked on. It was so good, and it's all been leading to this.
I know. It's finally happening. It feels weird. Does it feel like that for X-Men when you did the X-Men rewatch?
A little bit. I'm kind of sad that it's coming to an end. We had Dark Phoenix come out this weekend, and then in the week ahead we will have New Mutants 2020. We should I need to do a video after that ranking all of them.
Oh yeah, we can go back now and finally like rank them again. I think I rewatched some of them too with you when you were doing the rewatch, and I think I would change them again. And I know these are fighting words.
Me too.
I probably wouldn't put New Mutants as low as I did before.
Yeah, New Mutants goes up a couple rungs.
Yeah.
So does X-Men: The Last Stand. Goes up a little bit.
Yeah.
It's hard. The hardest one to rank, I think, will be 2013's The Wolverine, because it is almost a perfect movie until the final act with the Silver Samurai. It really just falls apart in that moment.
You should do a ranking again and because I think a lot of people, anytime you look up like X-Men ranked or X-Men movies ranked, it's such an old ranking that once you rewatch them and refresh, you're like, oh, wait a minute. This ain't as bad as I thought it was.
I think I love so much of X-Men First Class, so I always want to rank it high, but there's just certain things. It's not just the Darwin stuff. There's like other thing, like Charles is not as fun as I remember, in that movie. But Fassbender's really good. And then McAvoy is good in the role. It's just the character is just written to be too immature.
And it's how I feel with like Emma Frost's character is not fun. Like Emma Frost could have been so much better in that movie in First Class.
Yeah, I kind of have a theory that like with exceptions, the average movie that was made in 2010 and 2011 kind of sucks. Because I feel like, I don't know what it was, but it's like, you remember that was the year The Artist won Best Picture, and you had Tarantino who was doing good work. You had Christopher Nolan who was doing good work. There was a couple indie movie directors, but that was the year where Hollywood's like, who are our young directors right now? And they found like, Gareth Edwards to direct, big movies for studios, and ended up making a good choice. But it felt like Hollywood was like, like there was a lot of experimentation, and you had like a lot of like, I don't know what it was, just like a kind of creative re-examination. It's where like
we need to go back and look at those 2011 2012 movies,
or I think our tastes were just weirdly misaligned. Like J.J. Abrams, everyone loved this first Star Trek, and then Into Darkness came out, and like and Into Darkness has like a good Rotten Tomatoes score, but there's like really weird stuff with Benedict Cumberbatch. I don't know what I'm saying, really. It was an interesting time for movies.
I didn't really like Into Darkness. It's hard also because in 2011, 2012, I was in like high school, so I don't think my taste in movies was honestly that great to begin with. I think that was like the year I remember seeing like Clash of the Titans twice in theaters, and that's not a good movie. Not the new one. Right. The old one's very fun. The new one, And so I'm like, I don't think I was like best judge. I think that was like also the year like Resident Evil's the bad one started dropping. I don't know. That was weird. Everyone was trying different things. Everybody was trying different things. Michael Bay was flourishing.
There was like a lot of movies that came out where at the time we were like, this is good, this is gold standard, but they just have not aged well. So like Inception, Christopher Nolan's Inception, at the time I was like, it's gold standard, it's amazing, but for whatever reason Inception has not aged as well as like Interstellar has.
No, I guess not. I need to rewatch Inception, and maybe that's on me. I was about to say, dude, that was the year that like Chronicle came out, and I thought Chronicle was fucking fire.
Yeah, that's another one. That is another movie that
so
like
great.
At the time, I want to know what the inflection point was, because like there's just certain years where Hollywood just has amazing films. So like 1994, that's when you had Pulp Fiction, and you had Shawshank Redemption, and you had Forrest Gump, you had Lion King, you had like only good movies. 2007 might have been one of the best years of all time.
I disagree, because was that the year that Will Smith was coming out with Hancock? And like,
I can't remember when Hancock was, but like I think of 2007 as Zodiac, No Country for Old Men, There Will Be Blood. Michael Clayton came out in 2007. There's like, if you look at like the best screenplay nominees from 2007, you're like, holy shit, that every movie was good on this list.
Fantastic Four, Rise of the Silver Surfer, that was good.
Okay, now you're just saying that,
That was good?
any movie that I'm not saying that only good movies came out in
Let me
2004.
make sure. Let me fix my glasses really quick. Oh, that is true.
Okay.
That is true. Transformers did come out in 2007.
You know what? I regret having this conversation because there's no way that I could be absolutely
You're
correct.
right. There are good movies because the next one was Ghost Rider. And I did forget that was a great movie. I'm done.
God damn it.
I'm done.
I'm trying to
I'm
think,
done.
like, when was the most recent year where we had just, holy shit, everything this year was good? It's been a long time.
Dude, I was just having this conversation with someone else too. What was that year? 2011 is just so weird. I'm still looking at the 2011, 2012 movies
Weird
because
year.
that was also like, and I love this movie because I'm a horrible person. That was Sucker Punch. And those were like a little bit earlier was 300. So I'm like, I don't know if it was 2011 or 2012. Is it 2017? What was 2017?
2017 had now I'm just thinking of like the studio franchise movies, but
Yeah,
like,
I'm thinking of Oscars and that's what I keep going to.
I get a lot of them mixed up. 2019 was what the blockbuster year. That's where you had like, I don't know, $20 billion movies that came out. There was like not only Endgame and Joker, but you had like Aladdin made $1 billion. You had Captain Marvel made $1 billion. Like Disney alone had 9 movies that made $1 billion in 2019 or something insane like that.
We need to do one episode on like best year for movies. Because I know
We
it's
should.
out
I mean,
there.
1999 is in the mix because you had
Yes,
like The
100%.
Matrix, but you also had Fight
100%.
Club. You had a lot of good ones.
It I literally typed in, was the best year for movies? It says 1999. The internet is like 1999. Because I remember
up
also
there.
99, like the 96 to like 96, maybe 95 to 99 was also the best year for video games. It was just media across the board was flourishing in the 90s, except for the 1998 Godzilla. That was not good.
I think I'm gonna make a bold statement here. The most recent year to just have like the best concentration of quality movies was 2014. 2014
Recent
because 2014
is 2014.
Yeah, 10 years ago. And my case is made on the fact that 2014 was the year where you had the MCU discover quality with Guardians of the Galaxy and with Captain America Winter Soldier. 2014 was also the year where Tom Cruise had Edge of Tomorrow, great movie. John Wick came out in 2014.
Okay.
X-Men Days of Future Past was 2014. And a lot of other movies that weren't as good. But I think just with those movies that Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, really good movie. Really, really good.
I think you're right. It like 10 years ago, dude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Because I don't think in my span of college were the movies like so great. And I was in college from 2012 to 2016. So that like those are out. And then as an adult, I don't think like 2017 or 18 had a good year. And then 19, 20, 21, 22 were like in pandemics. It makes sense.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at what won Best Picture though from that year. I believe 2014 you had the nominees were like Birdman, American Sniper.
Ooh, that is a good year. That was a good year. Not American Sniper, but Birdman I liked a lot. Oh, that was 12 Years a Slave.
Or no, 12 Years a Slave was a different year.
Oh, was it the year before? Because the 2014 Oscars.
Yeah, 2014 nominees for screenplay included Birdman, Boyhood, Foxcatcher, Grand Budapest Hotel, and Nightcrawler.
Damn.
And then you
Grand
had
Budapest.
Imitation Game, American Sniper, Inherent Vice, Theory of Everything, and Whiplash. Whiplash!
Oh,
Whiplash is a goddamn
great.
good movie.
Whiplash
that was
is
2014.
good. Whiplash is good. That was a good year for movies. Was 2014.
It's just like 2016 had a lot of like overrated movies. 2017 had some good ones.
We also just talked about today too that it's the 10-year anniversary for Winter Soldier on Monday.
Right.
before.
Yeah, Winter Soldier is good.
So,
I mean,
and you
yeah.
said that. You said that. You already said it was like the good year for a Marvel.
And Grand Budapest Hotel was like one of Wes Anderson's best. Like, yeah. That's where I'm at.
Damn,
That's where I'm at.
2014.
Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, Interstellar. I said Hobbit, Battle of the Five Armies, ironically, but Interstellar definitely was Nolan's best film, I think. All right, we've had like a surprise second act of this episode. I want to end with our segment, What We're Watching. I don't think we have any like Hollywood drama that we're discussing this week, unless you watch something.
I haven't been watching anything. I had to play a bunch. I had to play the new Princess Peach game. I played a samurai game, and I played Dragon's Dogma, which is very popular right now. So I've been just playing video games like a crazy person. What are you watching?
Well, I got invited to the Pixar campus to watch the first 30 minutes of Inside Out 2.
Don't spoil it.
I think I'm under embargo still, so I'm not going to say too much about it, but I had a lovely time, and I got to see some really cool stuff, talk to some really interesting people, and I believe in April I'll have a special video that kind of shows you my whole experience, and then I just can't wait to break down this movie because, you know, my wife Kelly works on it, and full disclosure, but there's gonna be so many cool things to break down, and I can't wait to do a full Easter egg breakdown of this movie. Our son's name is going to be one of the production babies in the credits of the movie. So
the production. Oh yeah, production babies. I love when they do production babies. I love when they do production babies. Oh, and then when he's older, he's gonna go watch the movie, and then he's gonna be like, "That's my name."
Yeah, all I will say about the movie so far is like I wish I had movies like 2015's Inside Out and then this movie when I was a teenager, when I was a kid. Just to personify these emotions and these complex concepts and to give them like a voice and like a purpose and saving a kid's soul in their mind. Like it's just really cool. It's just such a cool concept.
Well, if you were a crazy kid like me, you did. If you were an insane person like me, you did. I was a lunatic. I always feel that way with like Black Panther. I was like, because my hair got so damaged when I was a child from like over styling it, and I remember my mom had to like shave my hair off, and I was like, no, please don't do this. My hair means the world to me. And I was like, if I would have saw the Dora Milaje all the time when I was younger, I'd been like, cut it off now, get rid of it. I want to be like them.
That's so interesting.
I'm like, there's parts of like, that's why I'm like, these movies matter because it's also like little kids can learn from it. Not just like culturally or like racially like me, but like in general, you learn from these things. Power Rangers taught me a lot of things. Captain Planet taught me not to pollute, and I was very stuck on that. And I still think he's going to come beat my ass if I throw something on the ground.
Power Rangers taught me is that if you're going to be a superhero, if you're going to power up into a superhero, you have to wear the predominant color of that uniform in your everyday clothes.
I don't think that's true.
That's what I feel like you have to.
Maybe. Do you? Do they ever do that? Does Superman do that?
I feel like Bruce Banner in the MCU wore like a green shirt and like slightly purple pants at one point. I might be wrong.
You have to be wrong.
They do that. They do that. No, they do that sometimes in shows where they'll start to wear clothes that kind of like match. I know like in Ragnarok, doesn't Thor wear like a green shirt that kind of looks like...
Yeah, he does. I think
either Hulk or Loki, that he's like colored green in the movie. I don't know. All right, well, we'll leave it there for this episode of the Sneak Peek, but let us know in the comments below what you think X-Men 97 is leading up to. What is Tolerance's Extinction? What's that storyline gonna be? And it's 3 episodes, so like 90 minutes. It's gonna be like a movie, like an animated X-Men movie. So what event could be that big?
Yeah, or get in the comments and tell us what year was the best year for films for you.
Yeah,
I kind of stand by 2014, but I need to look at that 2015 list too now. Because I forgot Inside Out was 2015, and I love that movie too much. That maybe that year was other great movies. I feel like there had to be.
There have been good movies every year. I just feel like the most important for like what I do, maybe either 1999 or 2014 or 2007. I mean, those are just huge. All right, thanks, Jessica. It's been wonderful talking to you as always. Follow Jessica at Lulu_Clemons. Follow me at EA Voss. Subscribe to New Rockstars, all 3 channels. Subscribe to The Break Room and Deep Dive. And we'll see everyone next week. Bye-bye, everybody.